particularly in Jigo, and remember when Anderson used to have the open houses?
Yeah.
You go up there and, we've seen B-52s and, more recently there's, like the B-2s and everything like that. And we're familiar with that.
B2?
Yeah, yeah.
B2? Bingo!
But, I've never actually, and, we've got the Navy on Guam, obviously, and they've got the Seahawks, but, I've never actually seen a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. So that was, I checked off a little box on my bucket list.
Way to go. Good for you, Jay.
Yeah.
Glad you're still working on that bucket list.
This is so much better than having a girlfriend.
Oh, boy.
All right. Let's go into the
Nick
Zoom
does
room.
not agree.
Nic Lee. I don't know if you saw any Blackhawks over the weekend.
A couple.
A couple. All right. It's 7:10. Nic Lee of Guam EPA. Well, it's hard to segue out of a Jason Solis.
Simple pleasures, man.
Ooh. Yeah, but there is a training, guys, so you're going to see increased activity. Okay, like I saw a Osprey. Is it an Osprey? The one that it has like the propellers, but then
that they rotate.
They can go up.
Yeah, vertical takeoff and landing.
Yeah, I saw it on EPA. It was flying really low, and we're like, oh my god, that's an Osprey.
Ospreys are cool.
Yeah.
Those are basically what replaced the Harrier jump jets for the Marine Corps.
All right, thanks. 7:10. Nic Lee, Guam EPA. Good morning, Nick.
Hey, good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
It's morning time. Yep.
Yeah, it is. It's Monday. Nick's been pulling a shift over there at the Homeland. What is it? EOC?
Yeah, it stands for Emergency Operations Center.
Right. So he's been on shift since midnight, guys. So if he's kind of a little dragging, it's because he's been already 8 hours. But that's not going to be the end of your day, right?
That's correct. Well, the end of the day is when we get the JIC release out, and that will be the end of the day.
And not a minute sooner. All right, so we brought you on not because you're part of the exciting EOC, but for your Guam EPA hat, as we saw a bunch of pics over the weekend that last week you guys did the whole Cocos tire reef cleanup.
That is still ongoing. As of Saturday afternoon, our contractor reports that just over 900 tires have been removed from that artificial reef down in the Cocos Lagoon area. Some of the things that they've reported out is as they get deeper into the sand substrate, the tires are getting more difficult to pull out. So I think they had good progress in the first few days, maybe averaging 200 to 300 tires per day. Saturday, I think they were able to clear out 137 based on their report for Saturday. So progress is going to continue on that. The tires do get sent to the Unitech environmental compound where they get processed before getting transported to Mr. Rubbishman. Mr. Rubbishman then takes those tires and puts them in the tire shredder, and these things get sent off island for final disposal.
It's just interesting when you say Unitech, given all the recent events that have happened with that company.
It's public information that Unitech did get the notice to proceed, and we're happy to be working with them.
Nick, this whole thing it's kind of for me one of those weird, like, God, we really used to do this. Almost
yes,
like when you watch an old movie, Nick. When you watch an old movie and they're like going to the doctor, and the doctor's like smoking a cigarette in the patient room. This is almost one of those things. Like, did we actually think it was a good idea to dump tires in Cocos Lagoon to create artificial reef?
Guam wasn't alone in this. In the 70s, there was an area in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. They've got 2 million tires in their area, and I think that was a joint venture between their municipal council and it might have been even the Army Corps of Engineers to greenlight that project. So recent reports are saying that it's going to cost around $28 million for them to clean up their tire reef. We're hoping that the grant money that we received from the competitive grant through NOAA's Marine Debris Program is going to take care of all of that. That was a $250,000 award that we received. We approximate about 2,500 tires, and we're hoping that this project goes on smooth, obviously, this is something that we've been talking about. We've had some setbacks, obviously with the pandemic. We're glad that the divers are in the water taking care of this now. But at the time, that was considered cutting edge technology, that you were going to repurpose these tires and in the hopes that it was going to increase fish stocks or allow coral growth to thrive. And after a few years of monitoring, scientists figured that, hey, it's not working, and these tires now pose the threat when they become dislodged or if chemicals start leaching out of them over time. So it's good. The mindset has changed. Obviously, a lot of progress since the 70s. And something that I mentioned to Tyler earlier was that the ocean is not meant to be a dumping ground, and that's a central message that we want to put out there. Much like the jungles, people, not a dumping ground either. Yeah.
Can you kind of explain the whole process and how these tires are being removed? Is it divers that are going in there and physically unearthing these tires?
Yes, this is being done by hand.
Wow.
There is a salvage dive company that was subcontracted by the main awardee. They are pulling them out one by one, piece by piece. Part of that process is required so that in case there is coral growth in that area, they know to call us so that we can do something about it. We're trying to clean up the marine environment, but the last thing we want to do is go down there and make things worse. So the idea is just remove it carefully. It's a painstaking process, but these guys they're committed. I even heard that the floating barge that they use to stage the tires before they're brought in also houses their equipment. And there is some guy out that sleeps in the middle of Cocos Lagoon, or maybe not sleeps, but he's there to guard all of the equipment. So even, being that far off ashore, so they're pretty committed to it. They inform us of their progress every step of the way. And so we are just hoping that they continue, get things done so we could wrap this up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you said 900, so they're almost halfway through, right? So
just about halfway,
right?
Yes.
And you said that
just under.
You said something about they are experiencing some difficulties. What did you mean by that?
So as they get deeper into the pile, the tires are buried, so they've got to be careful in how they remove them. You now have to create a visibility issue down there. We don't want we don't want to cause too much turbidity down there. So there's a lot of factors that they have to consider as they remove those tires.
I haven't heard the word turbidity since back in the, remember that when Guam Waterworks Ugam treatment plant would get shut down every time it rained, and they'd be like high levels of turbidity. That's one of those words that like people on Guam like, what the hell is turbidity? You had to Google it. This is before they had Google though, so you had to ask somebody who went to the library, and it's basically like, go ahead, Jay. Okay. Remember that? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a word that everybody, it's like high pressure system out here and everything.
Right, yeah, it's just a weird word that people on Guam know what it means for some weird reason.
Yeah, Nick, I wanted to ask, because, obviously this isn't just a project that you guys, took up last week. You guys have been planning to do this the right way and, obviously in an environmentally safe process for a long time. But for those people that might be thinking right now, and we've got, some images and video of the tires being removed and, they've got a seaweed on them or moss and everything like that. For the benefit of people that are worried about these tires being removed and if they're, displacing any of the sea life down there. Or,
what about the Balati, right?
Yeah, like any habitats that might be like disrupted down there. Like you guys are completely on top of, like making sure that the tires are being removed in a safe way, but also, you're not disrupting anything down there, right?
Yes, correct. That's a good point, Jason. I hear there was a moray eel in one of the tires that got pulled up on the barge.
Surprise!
Yeah, so yeah, that was a surprise. But the reason why these tires are being processed at the facility before they're taken for disposal is the tire shredder has to cut them down to a certain size. We want to make sure that the equipment that Mr. Rubbishman is using is not going to be, jeopardized based on, seawater or anything else that's grown in or outside these tires. So there is a monitoring process that is taking place as the tires are being removed. I do also want to mention that prior to the start of the project, our environmental monitoring team went out with probably some Fish and Wildlife and UOG divers to do some coral transplant as well. So there was some prep work that was done down there, so that when we were ready, to mobilize our contractor, there would be little to no disturbance in the marine environment. So great point, Jason.
Yeah.
That's
good, Jake.
No, I was just about to ask that, Nick, because I mean, Chris was talking about, the turbidity in terms that we're familiar with just growing up on Guam and knowing our environment, and everyone that lives here knows that they said that if there's any type of coral down there, for every centimeter of coral that gets broken or displaced and everything, it takes 4 years for that coral to grow back and everything like that. So that's actually pretty cool about the coral being left alone, and actually some coral being put down there.
Yep. So there's a lot of eels down there in Malesso, Nick.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah. How many Balati have been displaced by the removal of this tire reef?
I think they're pretty sensitive about that. So not a whole lot. Yeah, I'm gonna guess 0. Yeah. Okay. They'll be fine without the tire reef.
All right, Chris always speaks for the Balati.
I just want to make sure they're someone standing up for them.
Advocating for the Balati.
You know what I mean? Hey, Balati Bob wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Chris is basically the Lorax for the Balati, right?
Is Sabrina still here?
I'm here.
Yes, she's here. All right, Nick. So this is a big project, but I was wondering, there's going to be fireworks from down there at Malesso on Liberation. Is this going to kind of pause or interfere in any way with the project that you guys have ongoing?
We don't anticipate any issues with the fireworks and the area, the staging site. There's no issues being anticipated at all.
Right.
Can we shift to the Islandwide Beautification Task Force? I think there was a cleanup over the weekend. Guam EPA, I believe, participated in that.
So there was a 30 cubic yard of a bin set up on our parking lot at our admin building. So Guam EPA, along with our summer youth employees, were in charge of sorting. So the idea was that all the waste that was picked up around the walkways would be brought over there. So we were able to get cans, plastic bottles, anything that could be recycled would go into that bin. I think we nearly filled it up. There were some large items that were being pulled out of the Teason area. So we were able to nearly take advantage of that full 30 cubic yard capacity. So a lot of hard work went into that. We're appreciative for the support of our administrator and our staff, as well as the summer youth employees who took their time that Saturday.
Do you know anything about the agenda for tomorrow? Because I'm just looking at it. There is a meeting tomorrow. There's going to be a presentation on illegal dumps and derelict buildings.
No, but I could find out from my administrator or my deputy. They're normally the ones that are attending those meetings. So I could shoot you a message after this.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else, Nick?
Nick, are you guys involved at all with that RECA, the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, with PARS and Robert Celestial?
I'm not tracking that. I know at one point they were thinking about doing some monitoring with the radiation out of Fukushima after the earthquake, but I need to see if anything has taken place beyond that discussion with our involvement. But that's something I will follow up with and get back to you as well, Chris.
Appreciate that so much, Nick. Bree, anything else?
No.
All right. Well, Nick, we appreciate you coming on here and enjoy the last 30 minutes of your shift.
Right on, guys. Take care.
Is there
Talk to
anything
you
that
soon.
happened overnight that we need to know about from like a homeland angle?
I'm sorry?
Did anything happen, from a homeland angle while you're on shift that we need to know about?
No. EOC continues to support the pandemic response.
Right.
Nothing significant to report out this morning.
Will you guys be standing down if the governor declares P-Corps 4?
That I don't know if we will. That what I can tell you is the JIC along with the EOC gets stood up during declared states of emergency. That's
Right.
the only time that you see us stood up. So I guess it would largely depend on if that emergency deck is going to be extended. Yeah.
All right.
And as JIC and EOC will probably it's likely that as we move into recovery, there'll still be some involvement, but it's really tough to tell at this point. Yeah.
Nick, do you have any of the census for the quarantine facilities?
Let me check our ESF 16 guy, and I can get you that information.
Oh, right on. Yeah, if you could just text that over after you check the ESF 16 guy on the emergency deck.
Yeah, give us a
Yes.
411.
Give us a 411 from the EOC there. The
With the
JIC.
QFAC situation.
Yeah, sure.
Sit rep.
Thanks, Chris.
Do we sound cool now? Now do you want to be our friend?
Yeah. You got. I'm sorry.
No, don't say we're friends, Nick. I don't want to get in trouble.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know this guy.
What is it with friends like you, Chris? Who needs enemies? Right?
Well, I guess we'll end there, Nick.
Well done.
Thank you, my friend. I mean, my not
Thanks.
friend.
I'll get you guys that information.
Okay.
You guys have a good
Right
evening.
on.
Good morning.
Okay,
care.
see ya. Yep, totally getting in trouble.
Totally.
Totally. Did you actually say you were going to get them that information? Yeah, they're still legit. Good job. Hey, let's give those guys a hand, man.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that guy's been sitting here since midnight? Probably nothing going on. He probably watched Space Jam like 4 times. Oh, man. Pardon us while we wipe, guys. Yep.
You really need a refresh.